Hi there, this is Jimmy Roberts. When it comes to the game of golf, there is no place on earth like the metropolitan area. It's always been a special place for the game of golf and also for golf writing. Some of the most esteemed and accomplished journalists covering the game work here. Now, you'll get a chance to hear them right here on the Metropolitan Golf Writers Association podcast. Enjoy.
Brian Mackey, the Director of Instruction of North Jersey Country Club. Welcome to the Met Golf Writers Association podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here. This is great. Thanks for the opportunity.
No, our pleasure. When we heard about the things that you're doing at North Jersey, and we're going to get to all of that, but we wanted to have you on to tell that story. But I would love to give you the opportunity at first to just, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your career path. Who's Brian Mackey? We don't have to get all existential or anything like that, but but who is Brian Mackey?
Yeah, so I'm just a humble golf pro, man. I'm very fortunate. I come from a great family. My dad got me playing golf at a really young age, and it was great. It did wonders for our relationship. We grew very, very close as a result of golf. So I'm always and forever will be grateful for this game. It's led me in my career. My dad is a combat veteran. So there's my inspiration, towards that drive to support our veteran community and raise money for them. My grandfather is also a combat veteran. So, those are the two guys I look up to the most in my life. And they definitely paved the way for me on more ways than I can express. But yes, so golf has always been my thing. I didn't know that I would always go this direction. I played in high school at St. Joe's in Montvale. I had a great time. I had great coaches, great teammates. Was fortunate enough to play in college at what is now Dominican University. It was formerly Dominican College. Same thing. Just really blessed to be around a really good group of people. We had just went Division II, so it was a cool opportunity coming in at the start there. Played a lot of golf, and then just thought I was going to, pursue a life of either law enforcement or work as a general contractor. I know those don't really go hand in hand, but I had a million jobs growing up. So it was wild. My dad just said, hey, man, just try golf. It's something you love. And a lot of things aligned for me. And I ended up, my first job was at White Beaches. Jim McGovern gave me an opportunity to get into the business, and I owe him a lot. He's been very instrumental in me getting started and sticking with the business. And then the rest is kind of history, man. I'm just here and grateful to be in a position to help people just like our veterans have helped us and provide a good service to the memberships.
Absolutely. I mentioned you're the director of instruction. What does that entail? What is that? Sometimes people are the director of golf. Some people sometimes they're the director of instruction. What for you does that entail?
Yeah. So, when I started here at North Jersey, Brian Crawford, the head golf professional, started here. He didn't start here in 2020. He was named the head golf professional that year, and he was looking for a good assistant to come in and kind of support him. And I was flattered to get the call. I show up and COVID happens. So it was like a really odd time, just obviously across the globe. And in the golf business was this massive boom once we were able to get back out on the golf course. And the membership here is wonderful. Everyone they want to learn, they want to get better, they love being around it. So the lessons just started mounting, and our junior program really skyrocketed. I think the first year we brought PGA Junior League back into the mix, we had 60 kids. Wow. Sign up. Yeah. And we only had two coaches at the time that were capable of handling that. So the role just became so cumbersome in a good way on the teaching and instruction side, clinics and things like that. It just somehow morphed into a title change. We have some great assistants here in Sean Curtin, Shane Adams, Brian's the head pro, and our outside operations director, Sergio Espinoza. So those guys really kind of hold down the golf operations, and I handle all the teaching and the clinics, and we do pro tip videos and all sorts of fun stuff. So I kind of manage all of the teaching and coaching aspects, and I do obviously still contribute tournaments and things like we have here. We're all here pretty much 24/7, which is great, but yeah, that's what I oversee.
Sure. And how long now total have you been at North Jersey?
This is year 6.
Year 6. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So And what a great club! And you just did that renovation and
Oh man, I
restoration,
mean,
I should say.
I had played here a few times prior to working here, just competing in New Jersey PGA events. And I always liked the layout. It always had, everybody would say, oh, it's got blind shots. Yeah, it's up and down. And I
Correct.
don't think there's any more blind shots than anywhere else I've played. But once I got the job here and started spending more time on the property and could see the vision of what was taking place, the Greens Committee here had a strong vision. They hired Brian Schneider and he came in. We have a great green superintendent and his team, and it was really cool to be. I had never been part of something like that.
Mhm.
Watching a renovation. So the golf course has turned out spectacular. The members love it. The conditions are great. So yeah, I mean, to be able to show up here every day, it's a pretty awesome office.
Yeah, Schneider's awesome too. I mean, he's just
Yeah, I mean that guy's got a full plate. Those guys are all over doing great work, and it's awesome, man. It really is a
yeah.
special place.
We were there. The Met Golf Riders were there last summer,
That's right.
and the place was just totally dialed in. Did they read? Did you end up finishing or doing number 10? Was that
Yes,
the last piece of the puzzle?
that was it. That was it. So that was the final. So we are now officially a par 72.
Okay.
Everybody's really excited about it. Course got re-rated, new slope. It's hard. 10 is beautiful. We opened it on May 17th. There was a qualifier for a big tournament we have here. So the members got exposed to that in a tournament like setting, which could be good and bad, but everybody loved it. They were just so happy to have it open. The work is obviously starting to wrap up. There's been a lot going on here for the past couple of years. So the patience of the membership has been tremendous. Everybody's just kind of, excited for everything to be done and just to have their golf course back. So to have 10 open was phenomenal. The reviews are awesome. Everybody loves it. And it's a super challenging hole, and it's fresh and it's new, so it's exciting.
So the just for our listeners and our viewers, the old 10 was sort of came out from the clubhouse, and then it was like a little bit of a slight dog leg right.
Correct.
And with bunkers on the corner. Good hole, nothing wrong with it. It was but now the new basically goes straight out and up right to the left as opposed.
Yeah. So it's the progression was the 10th hole had some fairway bunkers like you said there on the corner, and then as this vision of the new 10 came along, those bunkers got filled in. Yep. So we had a couple seasons where we were kind of playing the old 10 without the fairway bunkers. The two-tiered green that was there, really good green. Again, nothing wrong with the hole.
No,
awesome hole, and good. Some bunkering. And then the new hole kind of goes. Yes, you're right. If you're standing from a bird's eye view, kind of on the tee there on 10, the hole goes out and then kind of up around to the right of the old 10, and it actually goes all the way closer to what is almost 8 fairway.
Right.
So, it's just such a good use of the property. There was a lot of filler space there, and they have now just turned it into such a signature hole. There's so many beautiful views up there. So yeah, that's the new layout for the hole. Nice, relatively long because you got a kind of an uphill second shot. Right. Couple of blind spots if you don't lay up in the right spot, and a really fair but yet challenging green. So it's beautiful. I hope to have you up and you'll be able to see it. I mean, great surrounds, the rock outcroppings from just by 11T, and it really is a breathtaking view once you're up on that green.
Yeah, no, I definitely looking forward to getting back there. And those green complexes are phenomenal. Like we said, Brian Schneider did an unbelievable job restoring and bringing back to life. It was Devereaux Emmett, the original
Walter Travis.
Travis, excuse me.
Yep.
The original Walter Travis complexes. And, at first when I heard what he was doing, I was like a little surprised just because the green speeds and the complexes, trying to marry those two is not exactly easy to do, but they do it, seamlessly there, and it came out beautifully. But those are really some fun green complexes.
Oh yeah, I mean, if Dan Kilpatrick, our green superintendent, if the membership is pressing him to really make it firm and fast, I mean, he knows what he's doing, but it can be really diabolical because this property is also very windy. So at times when the greens get kind of baked out and firm and fast, it's actually a little spooky. So again, to your point, when these greens, the way Walter Travis designed his facilities, you're talking however many years ago,
Yeah.
greens were not maintained at speeds of 14 and 15 on Stimpmeters and
Right.
slopes like that. So, you're really getting some solid challenges when those greens get firm and fast. But these guys do such a good job.
Yeah.
The membership doesn't want to go out there and get beat up every day. Certain events, we dial it in, but it's very playable and it's a lot of fun. You got to be creative around the greens, that's for sure.
Absolutely. No, they're phenomenal. And I really love that Brian kept a lot of the character, the Walter Travis character of those green complexes intact.
Yep, that was the vision, and it was beautiful. Kenny Fiorina, who's our current club president, was the Greens chairman throughout the whole process, and there's obviously other really important people involved. But Kenny, had the vision, and he really saw it through. And he's very proud of the product that turned out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, there last year, loved every bit of it. It was phenomenal. Looking forward to seeing the new number 10 too when I hopefully come back this summer. One last question about you before we get to the
Sure.
your endeavor in helping veterans. Just curious what your philosophy as an instructor is. How would you categorize yourself as an instructor? Is there a system? Is there a particular philosophy that you like to follow? What drives you, and what's the framework of your particular style of instruction?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's oftentimes like, I think anybody that's trying to coach, you're constantly trying to evolve and figure out what is my style. I'm definitely not a method guy. I don't have a certain, hey, this is what it is, and you don't vary from this. I think that's a little narrow-minded. That's just my opinion. And I know some people might, contradict that statement, and that's fine. And I think, I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of really good instructors, watch really good players. And it's interesting, everyone has a different learning style. So I think the way you communicate with people is first and foremost. You have to be approachable. Golf is intimidating. So whether it's a 2 handicap, a pro, or, somebody that's just picking up the game, they want to be able to have that give and take and that back and forth.
Sure.
I don't ever want people to feel like I'm telling them to do something. I will encourage and strongly promote things, but it's more
like
of
practice.
Yeah, practice and discipline. I mean, you watch the best players in the world. I was fortunate enough to play in the PGA in 2019, and I walked out on the driving range, obviously nervous, but also kind of curious about like, what are these guys actually practicing? And to see the best players in the world with sticks on the ground, checking ball position, alignment, shafts in the ground, checking their swing plane. Look at Scotty Scheffler. The guy puts a grip trainer on his club every time he goes to an event. And this man can put a golf ball wherever, whenever he wants, and he's focusing on his grip. And that's what makes the difference. So if you do the little things well, I think the big things really come together. I try to support each and every student that comes that I'm fortunate enough to coach or work with. I want them to have a clear set of, hey, this is where we're starting and this is where we're going. Too much information during a session is never a good thing. We're all guilty of it as teachers. You want to give everybody all the answers, but it's just too much information.
Sure.
Hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. And now, you lose the flow of the swing. So I guess, I'm going on a tangent here, but, definitely more of like a swing your swing. And hey, listen, the way that you set yourself up to the golf ball, your posture, your spacing, all of this stuff is going to frame out your swing. And listen, you can go down the rabbit hole as far as you want and delve into some stuff. And I pay attention to a lot of stuff on social media. There's a lot of great teachers out there that I'm friendly with. I watch a lot of Nick Bova's stuff. He's a really smart guy. I actually will go to him sometimes and see what he has going on and get some information from him. Cause you're always trying to pick up on, who's doing what, how does this help? How do I broaden my skill set to continue to evolve? Because that's what it is. I think being a good instructor is always trying to get better yourself so you can help somebody out.
100%, 100%. I think, and it goes into whatever profession. If you're not, steel sharpens steel. If you're not trying to get better, you're not really going to grow in any capacity.
Well, yeah. And I mean, you look at the area we're in. I mean, it is a saturated market when it comes to good instruction. I mean, I mentioned Nick Bova, but I mean, I don't mean to leave anybody out, but you got
No.
Tyler Hall,
Yeah.
you got Vince Romagli, you have oh my God, I'm getting put on the spot here, and I'm forgetting names. But there are so many good teachers, both in. I mean, look at the Met section, look at Philly, look at Jersey.
Yeah.
So many good instructors.
100%.
So you have to you got to stay on your game. You can't get complacent. You're constantly learning and researching and interacting with people and paying attention. I think it's a testament to the amount. Like, I'll watch Jason Birnbaum stuff because he works with some really good juniors, and I have a bunch of juniors, so I want to know how is Jay connecting with his students so I can help mine.
Yep.
And you're just trying to support your athletes and your golfers as best you can, whether they're 10 and they're just getting started, or I got a gentleman that just started picking up the game at 47, and he's pumped to be able to go out and play with his dad. And I respect that and love that. And I just want him to have less thoughts, make sure the ball gets airborne and forward, understand he's going to miss, but hey, how do you make the corrections and how do you play golf a little bit better on your own?
Yep. We have a great junior instructor on Long Island, where I'm based, James Hong in Port Washington, where
oh yeah, sure.
He's phenomenal with kids. I watch his stuff all the time, just seeing what he's doing, and I'm just fascinated by what he's doing, not necessarily as it relates to me or anything else. He just does such a great job with with junior golfers. He's a great reference too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I just, you're just trying to be as good a communicator as you can be, and that's, I think that's a huge, I try to be as transparent and open as possible with everybody.
No, that's fantastic. So just want to transition into, we've talked about yourself in North Jersey and the country and the club itself, the restoration that you guys did. And you've mentioned a couple of times just the membership and the quality of membership that you guys have. They have really supported you in this 100-hole hike that you kind of started. Tell us how this began. What was I think we kind of already know with your dad, but what was the full inspiration for it, and what you started to do at North Jersey there at Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah. So, when I got the job here at every facility that I've worked at, I've always wanted to do something on the military recognition days, whether it's Veterans Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day, anything that is encompassing, our veterans, how we've gained our freedom, because it comes at an extreme cost. I think we all understand that. And, when I was at White Beaches, and then I went to Echo Lake, and then I went to Hollowbrook, and then, now here, I've always done these small little fundraisers. But this membership actually held me accountable, which I loved. They were like, hey, what about making this bigger? Instead of standing on the tee and saying, hey, we're supporting our veterans, can you donate $100 or whatever it was? And to their credit, they were donating way more than $100. This membership's been unbelievable. But I really took that as a challenge. And I was like, you know what? That's true. Like, let's do something not only to raise money, but to honor our veterans and to honor those that have fallen in the line of duty, killed in action, or have come home and lost the battle at home. And, veteran suicide is a huge thing. And we need to pay attention to that. How about all the Gold Star families that never got, to see that person one more time? And I think about that stuff a lot. I didn't serve. That's my cross to bear. I wish I had done it. So this is me trying to serve those that have served us. And when it came to trying to make it more of a tribute on Memorial Day, I had heard all about these 100-hole marathons. I was communicating with the young lady, Jessica Everett from Folds of Honor, which is a phenomenal charity. They do great work. And she was like, yeah, we do these 100-hole marathons, or you could do a Beat the Pro. And I was like, you know what? That's a great way to honor our fallen heroes and raise money for our veteran community. So the first year I did it in a golf cart. We had the American flag on the back and the POW flag. I showed up here at 4:30 in the morning, and all these members were here clapping, and it was so cool. And I was so juiced up. I was crying. I was excited. The emotions were, it was like a roller coaster.
Sure.
But We raised a ton of money. I think we had initially set, Folds of Honor did a great job. They gave us like an app almost with like a GoFundMe ticker. And I think the initial goal was maybe 25,000. And we had surpassed that by, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
And I mean, we ended up raising a ton of money. And it was so impressive. The membership got so behind it. And then all of a sudden it was over, and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and everyone's like, "Hey, are you still going?" And I'm like, "No, I'm done." And then it was just over. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, all right, so that was fun and it was cool, but that's not what Memorial Day is. It's not fun. It's not cool. It's a day. It's a somber day. And there needed to be more of a sacrifice made on my end to honor their memory. And I said to Brian Krollpfeifer, who's also a close friend of mine, he's not only the head pro, but I said to him, I'm going to walk. And he was like, "You're nuts." And I said, "You know what, man, there's a lot of people that can't walk anymore that put us in this spot, and it's the least I can do." And he was awesome about it. And, he's like, "You're not carrying your clubs because you'll never make it," which is valid. So he drove the cart around and helped me out. But that, I felt like, okay, man, like this actually is something that is honoring the memory. Like I'm going to just like people run a marathon for a cause, the New York City Marathon. I wanted to walk, and every step I took, I just was so grateful for the ground that I was on. Mark Delora, who did this year's, I'm sorry if I get emotional, I apologize.
I think it's wonderful to be.
Mark Delora, who's involved with me now with Golf for Veterans and did his marathon this year. We came together collectively. His brother-in-law was killed in action, and he was a Marine. He was killed in Afghanistan. As they say, he was doing what he loved to do. And I mean, you just think about that and you're just like, wow. And I said to Mark, I said, "I'd be honored to say your brother-in-law's name on the first tee." And I got permission from his father. And man, is that like just such a responsibility and such an honor.
Yeah.
So I mentioned his name, and I talked about the guys that served with my dad in Vietnam, those guys that never came home so my dad could come home. And it's just, that's the type of day it is for me. That's why I do it. And the membership really rallies behind it. So the first year was awesome. And I'm sorry. So that's the second year. Now we're walking the 100 holes, and all of these guys, my contemporaries, these professionals, these great men in this section reached out to me, and they were like, "How do we get involved? We want to do this." So once it was all over, I want to say it was just this past November, I got a bunch of guys together for lunch, and we talked about what we could do, and this was our plan. So, David Reasoner from Ridgewood, Nick Bova from Hamilton Farm, Mark Delora from Crestmont, Billy Hook from Knickerbocker, Grant Sturgeon from Arcola. These are the guys that, was this initial group that really came and are very supportive of me. So I'm grateful for them. And they were like, let's make this a thing. So we were able to do 3 marathons at the same time this year. We did 300 holes. Nick and Mark did theirs. Memorial Day weekend in the golf business, there's a lot going on at the clubs. And as much as we are, wanting to create awareness, we understand that these guys and golf professionals have jobs and obligations at their clubs. So as much as we want to do this, we're also at the mercy of what's happening at their respective facilities. So a couple guys needed to kind of pivot and do something at different times during the year, which is fine. But just in the 300 holes played between myself, Mark, and Nick, and David's support at Ridgewood, we hit that $125,000 mark, which is unbelievable. And there's still donations coming in. So I'm not sure 100% where the tally is, but I know the guys, when we were done, we were so juiced up. We were all crying, calling each other, texting, sending photos, talking about who we interacted with and how much it meant to us. And, the vision is, hey man, why can't we have 10 clubs doing this next year? Let's play 1,000 holes in a day and raise 500 grand and help our veteran community. So I'm just so happy that this is turning into something bigger. And people are really, because that's what it all is, right? We're just trying to create awareness. There's too many veterans that feel forgotten, especially my dad's generation from Vietnam. I mean, such a disgrace. So, to remember them, we're talking about veteran suicide, like we can't forget those that signed the dotted line for us. And I know that they don't know who we are particularly, but they're defending a way of life and a freedom, and we owe that to them. So this is really turning into something much bigger than I ever thought it would. But man, am I proud to be a part of it. And I can't thank those guys enough for rallying behind me and working with me, and all the memberships. I mean, this club obviously has my heart, but man, the people at Hamilton Farm and Crestmont and Ridgewood, the way that they're rallying behind their pros. I mean, this is a cool thing. And that's why I love the New Jersey section of the PGA, because we are so small in a sense that everybody knows each other. We all have a really driving respect for one another. So to see everyone coming together is like the coolest thing.
Sure. I mean, that's phenomenal. You mentioned Folds of Honor, but
Mm-hmm.
you guys support a number of different charities that it's going towards. What are some of the others?
Yeah. So
Backpacks for Life, I think, was one of them.
yeah, Backpacks for Life is awesome. Brett D'Alessandro and his lovely wife, they have an awesome organization. Brett is a Marine veteran. I believe he served in Afghanistan, and they're unbelievable charity. When he came home from service, he was just disgusted with the amount of homeless veterans, and he really stepped up. And I mean, I could talk for hours about, they're taking care of each other. I mean, that's what they did overseas,
Yep.
and that's what the veteran community needs is each other, plus bridging the gap between the civilians and the military. And the veterans, because there is a divide. Oh, it's their world, it's not ours. Nonsense. You can't turn your back on somebody like that. So, Brett does a great job with Backpacks for Life. The New Jersey Golf Foundation is really where I got a lot of my inspiration to work with the veterans, because we started doing PGA Hope in the section.
Right.
And there's so many awesome instructors across this state who have been doing Hope for years, and they deserve so much credit, because this is what gives our veterans a sense of community. Golf is a very healing game. I never really thought about it, but man, I can't imagine what that was doing for my dad. I just never thought about it at that time, because I was so young and I wanted to be good and all that stuff. But man, I look back at it in the conversations, the car rides, where he was in his life, and like what the game did for him. So now when he's able to come and see our Hope sessions here at North Jersey, with all of these awesome veterans who love being here, we all cry together, we laugh together, we commute, we're texting, we're on social media, and it's so much fun. They were here for the 100 holes. They came and supported me. They rode around all day. Yep. And to have their support obviously means the world to me. It's crazy. So, the New Jersey Golf Foundation does an awesome job. We have PGA Hope. We now have the Heroes Tour, which is once your veterans graduate through the program, they now have a continuous golf league that they can be a part of. It's for first responders and veterans, and it's great. The feedback we're getting is awesome. Chris Hunt, the executive director of the New Jersey Golf Foundation, he's got a great staff, and Greg Zahovitz and Christina Paulson, and they work hard for the foundation and our veterans, and I'm proud to be affiliated with them as well. And then, yes, Folds of Honor is, I got my start with them. I've worked with them at all the different facilities I've been with. I have a great relationship with them. Obviously, we want to make sure we're supporting our veteran-based community in New Jersey first. Nothing against anybody else, but until we take care of everybody here, we want to make sure that we're focusing our efforts there. But Folds of Honor is obviously a big organization, and they're doing wonderful things. So it's just great that we can be in a position to raise money and then send it over to them. And that's what we're doing here with Golf Fore Veterans, which is our nonprofit that myself, Mark, Nick, Dave, Grant, and Billy started. So, and we have a military liaison, Crystal Cordero, who's one of our PGA Hope graduates. She did 5 deployments, and she's the real deal and a wonderful human being. And she's been really instrumental in our inspiration. So we're happy to have her on board.
That's amazing stuff. I can't thank you enough for it, for that effort, because I think I agree with you that Memorial Day should be a time where we reflect people that have made sacrifices for us. And, I probably watch, Band of Brothers. I probably binge on that, like probably, a couple of times a year. I watch, that kind of stuff. And that, I just think, our veterans deserve better.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And I don't think, and I think any way we can help them in the community, and I think then we should do it, because there's nothing like what they do. We have no idea what they sacrifice. We don't know what it's like to make the ultimate sacrifice, which many have done for us, and so they should be, every day should be Memorial Day, really, and in my mind. And
Amen.
but I think the way you do it, and I love that you've created this Golf for Now, Golf for Veterans, with your buddies that have sort of now joined you, and so it'll only, extrapolate from there, and you'll just be helping that many more people.
I can only hope so, man. I mean, it was very humbling as we were concluding, and everyone is saying, "Oh, thank you," and and I'm humbled and I'm flattered, and it's awesome. And I know everybody has the best of intentions, but I am certainly the last person that should be thanked on a day like that. It's about our veterans and those that never came home, and we give thanks to them. Like you said, it is, every day is Memorial Day. The freedoms we have came at an extreme cost, obviously, for those that lost their lives. But man, I think about those families. Yep. Woof. The folded flags, whether it was a father, a son, a brother. I mean, it's just so intense. And, their memory is what keeps everybody inspired. And it's our job to make sure we don't forget them. So, that's what that whole thing is about. That we need to honor them, memorialize them, and thank them.
What's the ultimate? Obviously, the goal is to reach as many people as possible. I get it, but what are you thinking for next year? Where do you see Golf for Veterans going? Where do you want to be in 3 years, 5 years?
It's great. Yeah, I mean, goal setting, right? We knew that people would rally behind golf and obviously supporting our veterans. We had no idea of the magnitude that this would really kind of have the first year. And I think it's going to continue to grow. And there's so many good ideas, but our base vision, part of our mission statement is we want to be, an extension of the military family. If anybody needs anything, obviously there's always a vetting process. You can't just go around handing out money, but, if people need help, sometimes the process with the VA isn't always the smoothest or the most functional. And if there's anything we can do to help, that's what we're doing. And that's why we, form this non-for-profit. And, my vision, our vision, I think collectively is, how can we continue to use golf to heal veterans and bridge the gap? So we're talking about, possibly doing retreats, where you're incorporating, a couple days of a stay where there's golf schools and, kind of community sessions in the evening where people can just be together, like-minded people. The biggest thing I've heard from all the veterans is, it's hard for us sometimes. Nobody knows the language or what went on or what, a certain song means to us, or a sound or a smell. And, when they're amongst each other, I am a fly on the wall and I absolutely love it. The lingo, the way they laugh and break each other's chops, the humor. It is so cool to watch that group of people interact. So if we can create, I mean, in a perfect world, if I had all the money, I would create a massive utopian place where we could just, hey, you need help? Come here. Right. We'll put you up and, let's go play some golf. Let's talk about getting you some, if you need a counseling or if you just need somebody to talk to, we got a hotline, and just grow it. And there's a lot of really good charitable organizations out there that do stuff like this. And, I would just, I don't think there's enough, right? Because when you hear about the amount of veteran suicide, it's like, okay, so there's this great organization. Well, we need 400 more of these organizations to pop up so we don't lose people. You're talking about generations here of people that have seen some serious stuff that are going to train the next generation, because yes, we do need a military. Evil does exist in the world. But when these veterans come home, man, they need to be welcomed. They need to be accepted. And they just want to be part of what we're doing, right? Part of society. Yeah. They don't need to feel like outcasts. So that's where my passion is. I just, it comes from how my dad was treated when he came home from Vietnam. I hear those stories, man, and it makes my blood boil. Yep. And every Vietnam vet that got treated like that, any veteran that comes home and gets treated like that. My dad wasn't allowed to join the VFW And these are former Marines from World War II that told him to leave. So, like, there's a little chip on the shoulder there, but, what are you going to combat that with? Anger? No, let's create a thing here so where everybody can feel welcome home and there's something for you. And I think golf is just a perfect platform. You can play with anybody. It doesn't matter if you hit the ball 100 yards or 300. So you have a handicapping system, and it's just a perfect place for people to come together, take your mind off what's going on, get the noise out of your head, and just go hit that little white ball and go find it again.
Yep. I mean, you gotta open up the dialogue, and that's where.
Yeah, it's a hard conversation, but we got to talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. Will you do you have any plans to change how you're going to do this 100-hole hike? I mean, are you going to incorporate more veterans in, like have veterans driving the carts, like so you're honoring those veterans for 9 holes at a time or 18 holes at a time? I mean, you're out there for a day. It's almost for lack of a better word, it's a procession of honoring these veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to incorporate them in what you're doing during the hike?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and obviously everything evolves. And I mean, again, the membership here, if you think about it, like we had 200 people on the tee sheet for Memorial Day, and every single person that played golf that day supported this initiative and this campaign. So I was playing through people. They're out there and playing golf, and granted, me playing through with the weight of the day is a mild inconvenience, but it still is an inconvenience. So as this grows, I don't know. Are we going to be able to do it every year if it's super busy at a golf course? I don't know. It's almost going to be to the point where, we might have to go rent out a golf course for the day. And then you can really, once you have the place to yourself, obviously the sky is the limit. But yes, we're honoring our veterans, but we're honoring the fallen. So I would really like to, it involves a lot more planning and intricacies and release forms, because I would like to collect as many names as possible. Those that served that were either killed in action or lost the battle when they came home, and be able to, every time I get to a tee, have either a picture or something about them, and have the members sponsor the hole, right? So, 100 holes at, $1,000 of sponsorship, and then you got $100,000. And I know everybody would rally behind that. Yep. But that's what I grew up going to Memorial Day for me as a kid with my father. I would go and, hey, Dad, let's get a hot dog. And like, I would always wonder why he was never short or angry, but it was an emotional day for him. He lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And when he was over there, and there's a lot of guys that didn't come home so he could come home. And I think as a veteran, a combat veteran, and I can't speak for him, but watching people just kind of not realize the weight of the day, it's gotta kind of be tough for you to observe when you know what if you're a combat veteran. Okay. So I want these 100-hole marathons to, yes, be fun in the sense that, hey, let's raise some money and help our veteran community. But every hole means something. There's a name associated with a hole. Crystal, the Army vet that I was telling you about, she donated 18 pairs of combat boots. And I put the boots on the tee with the American flag in it. And that was symbolic of the fallen soldier. So those were the tee markers for the day. So, and I had just asked the membership in a little brief, video that I posted on social media. I said, every time you go to tee up this golf ball, just take a look at these boots and understand that somebody's boots stopped somewhere, someplace away from home, making a sacrifice for us. And let's just remember that. So these little touches go a long way. But yeah, I would love to get to a point where it's almost like a moving memorial wall is at my facility, where it's, okay, here's names of, if they're, who passed away during Vietnam, from Wayne, let's get their name out here. So we remember that, 50, 60 something years ago, there was a young man that left here and went to a distant land, to go fight for his country, and he never came back, and we can still honor him in his hometown. So I just want to continue to recognize and pay tribute to those that, put it on the line for us.
Amazing stuff, and what an honorable thing to do. But anybody who knows you, it's no surprise as an honorable person that you are. Brian Mackey, thank you for your time today. Thank you for what you're doing for the for those who are all too forgotten too often, and bringing them and their memories, keeping their memories with us. Thank you for your time tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. It's my honor. And thank you, Anthony, for, giving me the time to speak on this. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your help.
Absolutely. I'll make sure we'll put in the show notes, make sure it's Golf for Veterans is going to be your non-for-profit.
Yes, that's ours. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we'll have links to everything that you, for anybody who wants to help and support what Brian is doing. And you don't have to be in the Jersey section to want to help veterans. Anybody and everybody should be supporting things of. If it's not Brian, it's somebody doing something that Brian's doing. I think it's super important. And
yeah, just get involved. There's so much stuff out there. The more people, the more we get into this, veteran community and this veteran world, we're hearing about, there's this foundation, there's this organization, and that's awesome. We can't have enough, as long as we're getting involved and having these conversations, just get involved and help, and we'll all be better for it.
100%. Brian Mackey, the director of instruction at North Jersey Country Club. And the not-for-profit organization is Golf for Veterans. Again, those will be in the show notes for you guys to support any way that you can. Again, thanks for your time, Brian.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. It's an honor.